Welcome to the Wii. This is Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, and I have no idea why you hate on this game. Okay, I think Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess took a lot from Ocarina of Time, but what it took it expanded upon and made better. It has much better graphics, it has interesting fighting mechanics both on the horse and in hand-to-hand combat. It has a much more realized world. It actually feels like dozens and hundreds of people live in it, especially in the castle town. It has epic boss fights. It has really cool weapons, though I admit sometimes they're not much use outside of the dungeons. It had epic environments. It was just a great game. And if you compare Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess side to side, there's really no comparison. But, Ocarina of Time has that nostalgia factor and that originality factor, which makes it near and dear to so many gamers' hearts. But if we were really being fair, Twilight Princess, a hell of a game, and a hell of a situation, in fact. I'm talking, of course, about the fact that Twilight Princess was sort of the last game on the GameCube, and the first game on the Wii. Though the Wii version has motion controls, which helps you out with sword fighting, and means you can point at the screen and shoot arrows and things like that, which is a really cool thing to do, which has been greatly expanded upon in the sequel Skyward Sword, which I have yet to play as of this date. I seem to remember a lot of people liking it right when Twilight Princess came out, but a few years later, a lot of people just said it was an inferior Ocarina of Time clone. Which I'll admit, it derives a lot from Ocarina of Time, but inferior? I mean, we were bitching about not getting another Ocarina of Time for years, and suddenly we start bitching about how this one isn't creative enough. This is the game that basically made people respect Majora's Mask and Wind Waker a little bit more for trying out new things with the Zelda formula. And maybe in a few years' time, Twilight Princess will be a little more respected by the Zelda fans out there, but right now it doesn't seem like it gets much credibility. But that's why I am here to point out why Twilight Princess was really cool. Besides the cool sword fighting techniques you had on the horse and in hand-to-hand combat, they also had some very interesting characters. One of which would be the man who may or may not have been a dead Link from another timeline. I'm talking about the skeleton-like dude that teaches you how to sword fight. There's little hints here and there about who he is and what happened, but nothing's ever really 100% said. There's also Link's girlfriend, which led to some very interesting and bizarre, I don't know if you want to call it a dream sequence or a movie sequence. I'm talking about when the weird light dragon takes Link and just brings on this mind trip of a video clip. It was weird. But standing head and toes above all the other characters, I would say, would be Midna. Midna was a great addition to the Legend of Zelda universe, and one of the better things about the game. In fact, she sort of symbolized all the darkness and all the really weird things that came with this thing. And if you need an example of that, here you go. Yes, that was Midna in a monstrous transformation, which unlocked the final dungeon of Twilight Princess. Now, there were some things, well, I admit, probably could have done better in Twilight Princess. The wolf areas, which, while interesting, do get a little old when you have to retrieve all the light orbs, and eventually they just sort of stop happening. It's like this random addition to the game that doesn't really go anywhere. Zant as a character I thought was pretty cool, and while some people don't like the fact that Ganon showed up as a bad guy at the end, I thought the boss battles with Ganon were epic. You had the classic Ganon battle where you had to fight a possessed Zelda. And then you had the really cool beast that came out, and then it all ended with this epic sword fight on top of a horse. That was sweet. So there were a lot of things that this game did really well. In fact, I think you could almost call it an example of how video games can sometimes, in fact, be art.